Good morning, my friends. Happy Monday to you. This is yet another week in our Thriving Through Collaboration series. And this morning, I'm going to share with you a little bit about this tool, which is the Zyto Scanner, okay? My name is Skyla Mann, in case we have not met just yet. I love the fact that we're collaborating with a whole bunch of diamonds. So I know that every week when we do this, we might have some new friends that we haven't met. So I live in central Iowa and have been a huge fan of Young Living for almost 13 years now. And my husband and I have 3 daughters, and this has just become kind of the way that we do life, naturally and without a lot of toxins and quite a bit of time freedom. And it's been a really good fit for us. So it's a joy to be with you this morning. And my purpose, I feel like, in sharing Young Living with everybody, whether it be a bottle of oil or it be a tool like this that we're going to talk about this morning, my purpose is just to let everyone know that there truly is a vast array of tools that we can use in our toolbox. And I am adamant that none of us ever try to give the impression that any one thing is a silver bullet and will fix everything, okay? I think that we all know that that really just isn't how life works, okay? But collectively, when we have enough diverse tools in our toolbox, what our family has found over time is that if one thing doesn't work, by golly, we can hop to another. And what I have learned is that I now have enough tools in my toolbox that I very rarely have to escalate the situation to seek medical intervention. Now, I'm not discounting that at all. I want it to be an option because certainly if things are severe enough, if there is an emergency, if there is a bone protruding out of your skin, I want to have a doctor handy, okay? But for all of the little things that we oftentimes encounter, I love the fact that we have lots and lots of things that we can choose from that are right here in our house. So this morning, what I'm going to share with you about the Zyto Scanner is just another tool that you may choose to have yourself, or you might be being introduced to it for the first time today, and you might say, Skyla, I don't know that I'm ready to buy one, but I would sure like to find someone where I can get a scan so that I can help take a look at what's going on with me, okay? So let's dive in. This is essentially all you need, okay? This is the hand cradle for the Zyto Scanner. You simply put your hand on it and you sit tight for a few minutes while the magic works with the computer and gives you a very detailed report. Now, a couple of technical things before we get into what the scan actually is. This machine only works with PCs. So if you are a Mac loving family, it will not work on your Mac, which is a bummer. But let me tell you, my husband is a genius and has worked with computers his whole life. And so this computer was purchased from Walmart, and the brand name is Jumper. And I'm pretty sure it came straight from Japan. I never heard of it before. The only thing that we use this laptop for are Zyto scans. And I'm pretty sure he paid less than $200 for the laptop. So what I want to tell you is that if you love your Mac products as much as I do, and you're like, oh, that's never going to work, just know that it is a very small operating system that is required to make this thing work. It doesn't suck up a lot of bandwidth, okay? So that's as technical as I'm going to get. If you have more questions on that, we'll either talk to Brian or we'll go to the website. All right, I'm going to do a screen share here. And what I want you to know is that there is a ton of information on the Zyto website. Okay, so this has a lot of information, both for individuals like us and also for practitioners, for health coaches, for entrepreneurs. A bunch of different kinds of people will enjoy this. What I want to show you this morning is how the scan works. Okay, so we are going to share this real quick. Alrighty, so that gives you a little bit of an overview of how the Zyto works. And as you can see, I'm not going to click on all of these, but as you can see, there are lots of options. So the Zyto Compass is sort of the entry-level scanner. And right now it is $99. I do believe that that may be a special that is going on right now. And then they have different tiers of scanners. And essentially, the higher you go, so the Zyto Evox is going to be the highest, the more in-depth and more expensive the scanner is, okay? I also want to add that there is a referral program. So if you decide today that you want to purchase a Zyto scanner, I want you to talk to someone in your upline. It may not be your enroller, but maybe keep going up the line for sure. I think all of your diamonds have one of these, but talk to the person that is closest to you so that they might enjoy that little referral bonus, okay? Also, another cool feature is that down here, if you can see where my cursor is, you can do a remote scan. So this is a really great feature, especially right now, where you can mail someone the hand cradle as long as they have a PC computer or they can get access to one. You can ship them the cradle and you can actually run a scan from your house because there's a way to link them over the internet, which is pretty fantastic. So that is also an option, okay? I want you to be aware that the Zyto company does a lot of trainings. They have coaching services. They have a wonderful helpline, much like Young Living, so that if you have problems, you can call in and they will walk you through how to, you know, solve whatever is going on. Let's talk just a second about the personal wellness. So this would be, you know, I have a Zyto scanner at my house. How am I utilizing it for our family? Okay. We use it to not only maintain personal wellness, but to improve it. So I'll admit, I think about using the Zyto the most when someone in our family is under the weather, okay? We're normal, right? When everything is going great, we don't think about necessarily taking it to the next level. That's probably just human nature. But when someone does fall under the wellness line or is struggling with something for one reason or another, usually one of my friends will say, well, have you done a scan? What did it say? And here are the areas that the Zyto can give us some insight on. So definitely it helps with energy and lifestyle. A lot of people have gut health issues. And so this is really, really helpful to just, I always say, you know, it's like we're peeling back the layers of the onion. We're trying to figure out what is not syncing up right in our bodies that's preventing it from running smoothly. Our bodies want to be efficient. They want to be healthy. And so when there is an area that's sort of off kilter, we have to figure out what's going on. So it also talks about detoxification. Believe it or not, it can talk about relationships, weight loss, environmental factors, that is huge, nutrition, performance, and anti-aging. Okay. And we just kind of talked about how the scan works. And so this is a little bit deeper in the eVox. I do not have one, but reframing your perceptions for emotional wellness is also a really cool thing. Then we've got a section here for practitioners and for entrepreneurs. The other things I wanted to tell you while we're just on this, they do have a blog. You can come to zyto.com and go to the shop category and you can see all of the different options. So with the scanners, you pay for the Cradle, and then there's also generally a monthly fee, and that can vary depending on which one you get. But they charge a monthly fee just because they are constantly updating it, and you need to be synced in order to stay up to date. They also have brochures, which is really nice, especially if you are doing a lot of scans for people or you're a practitioner of some sort and you are offering the services. It's really helpful to be able to have some brochures or some flyers that do the explaining for you. And you can share that. That will save you a lot of time in having to re-explain the same thing over and over. All right, I think that covers everything here that I was going to share with you. Okay, so we're going to go back to just us. Good to see you guys. So let's talk about what this actually looks like. And I don't know if this is going to work at all, but I wanted to kind of walk you through a little, just glances. I know that you're not going to be able to read the details, but some of you may have seen pictures. Whoops, if I can get my mouse here. You may have seen pictures of this thing before. And it looks like a firework that is going off. And I want to talk about what this represents. So with our body systems, if everything is content and happy and working efficiently and well, we get green dots inside the circle. Okay, when there are areas of our body systems that are saying, hey, I need a little love and attention over here, something's not smooth, something's not working right, they will be out of range. Okay, so I want you to know it doesn't necessarily mean that the individual is sick, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to pinpoint areas that need support before everything goes haywire. And if we can do that, and we can bring these red dots back into range, that will do wonders for us, okay? So this individual, out of 198 biomarkers, he had 80 biomarkers in range and 118 biomarkers out of range, Okay. So I'm going to scroll down, and what I want to show you, so it's going to bring up the top products that the body is wanting the most. Sorry, this is probably not the most efficient way to do this, but since I can't do my Zoom on this computer, this is the best we've got here. Okay, so it's going to talk about the 4 core body systems for wellness. That's going to be our first report. The detoxification system, gastrointestinal, hormonal and endocrine, and immune system. Okay? And what it's going to show you is a little bar graph that's going to show which system is the furthest out of range. And these can be both negative and positive numbers, but one of the things that I want you to know is that it is the distance from center that matters the most. So the distance from 0. So for example, this top one is negative 8.32, okay? And that looks pretty good. So we think about 0, like think about a number line, right? We've got 0 in the center. You can go to the positive or to the negative. We want to be as close to balanced in the middle as we can. So this bottom one is negative 31.03. Okay, so that went a long ways to the negative side. So what we're going to do is look at the lifestyle areas and which area is under the most stress. Okay, so for this individual, sleep, inflammation, and mental emotional stress, those are these 3 right here. Those are the 3 areas that need the concentrated effort. Okay, so it's so helpful because when I did this scan, this person said, sleep, oh my word, my sleep is fine. Like I feel like I'm sleeping okay. And what that means is that perhaps the hours spent in bed is a significant amount of time, but the quality of the sleep, maybe hitting that REM sleep stage, is not happening. And did you know that a good portion of our repairing work within our bodies and our restorative work happens when you're in that deepest sleep? And if you don't hit that stage, then it's kind of like, well, you were horizontal for a few hours, but you didn't get to the point where your body is actually repairing what needs to be repaired. So for me, this is where it becomes very helpful. They break down each system and they tell us what is stressing that system, and then they give us the top 5 recommendations. Now, what I always do for myself and my kids, and when I scan other people, I let them know that does not necessarily mean that you're going to have to go purchase every one of those items. But wouldn't you rather know? And wouldn't you rather, you know, if you've got a fairly broad arsenal of oils at home, I would want to know, like, okay, this oil would be more beneficial for my body at this moment than this one. And I would absolutely default to the one that my body is asking for. So in this case, we're looking at the detoxification system, and the one on the very top that is just like way out of range is skin. Okay, and coincidentally, this individual was having some extremely uncomfortable, very disturbing skin issues. So they were like, okay, that makes sense. So then we're going to scroll down and we're going to look at the top 5 detoxifying balancers for that particular issue. So for this person, para-free came up. That was an indicator. Do you guys know what para-free is for? Parasites. Okay, that's not what everybody wants to hear, But man alive, if I have them, I definitely want to know because I want to get to work on that. Okay, another one that came up was digest and cleanse. Well, that's not a huge shocker, perhaps, that those two would go together. And then neroli, which is a beautiful oil for skin issues, probably would not have been the one I would have thought of like right off the top of my head, because I personally associate neroli with more like the beauty end of things as opposed to, you know, like attacking a real deep skin issue. But remember, every one of our bodies is designed uniquely. And for this person, that may have been exactly what their body needed. Remember, we're trying to feed those cells, okay? And they each have a unique request. So if we can glean more information about what would satisfy the needs of our cells at that particular moment, I feel like we are increasing the odds of helping whatever situation is going on. Okay, so I'm going to kind of breeze through here. We go through the gastrointestinal system. We go through hormone and endocrine system. And as I'm doing this with each person, I look for repeating themes. So I look for repeating systems that are continually popping up to the top. So for this individual, skin was always, you know, one of the top three, and unfortunately parasites was generally up there too. Okay, this is something we would not have decoded on our own. I also look for repeating patterns in the suggested products, because oftentimes you will see things being recommended for more than one system. And if that's the case, then that one goes on the top of my shopping list, because I know that my body is very hungry for that. Okay. We go through the immune system. That was a big one for this individual. Now, interestingly enough, for this person who is an elderly person, Kid Sense Genius Oil was one that came up. And we both kind of chuckled, and I said, well, I mean, it's kind of funny. However, I'm not going to disclose everything about this person's background, but there has been a lot of tremors and shaking and that sort of thing. And if you know anything about applying oils to the brain stem to oxygenate the brain, it made total sense to me. Now, again, would that have been the oil I would have thought of? No, because I would have been more inclined to think of brain power or frankincense or cedar wood, some of those that are very oxygenating, especially for adults. But I also happen to know that for whatever reason, this individual's body is extremely, extremely hypersensitive to the oils. And so how fascinating is it that the Zyto picked up on an oil that comes pre-diluted? That just blew my mind, you guys. I'm like, gosh darn, I never would have thought of that. That's so cool. So I just, I mean, we're all informed individuals. We all hopefully have those desk reference books and we can look things up. But even still, there's still a lot of times when things go right over my head and I'm like, I never, ever would have thought of that. And this was absolutely one of those times. So I find that the more scans I do on people and the more that I learn about their background, the smarter I get in going, oh, okay, I remember when that came up on, you know, somebody else's scan 3 months ago. Now I'm starting to understand, if this happens, maybe we want to try this product. And you just sort of learn with experience. So let's see, I guess the other thing, this is in the diet and nutrition section. And things like master formula came up. And here's one that I don't understand. And if somebody has a clue, I still don't get it. But for this person, Ningxia Zing came up many times. And she doesn't like it. She doesn't like carbonated beverages at all. She loves Ningxia. And I'm like, just go with the Ningxia. It's got all the nutrients in it. But I do not understand what would be in Zing that would be, you know, beneficial body-wise. So if anybody has any insight on that, teach me, because that's one that I don't get yet. But in this diet and nutrition, there were a lot of digestive and gut health kinds of things. So sleek came up, which we know is a lot more than just weight management. Okay, that sleek oil helps with digestion and helps us pull nutrients out of the foods that we are eating. Digest and cleanse came up, and allerzyme. And so it makes complete and total sense to me that there's a war going on in their digestive system. And whether it be with parasites or something else, there is stuff going on down there, and their body is asking for all the help from lots of different places: oils, Ningxia, and supplements. Okay. Hydration is an important category. So please, please, please tell me that you all are just amazing at drinking water. Keep it near you, please, at all times, and just drink. When you get bored, if you want a snack, drink your glass of water first and then proceed. But as important as the quantity of water, you guys, we have to be mindful about the quality of our water. And this hydration category, oh my goodness, so many times people, they come up with things like water contaminants. Now, I know when we are out and about, good job, Kathy, I see her drinking. I know that when we are out and about, it's hard to know always the quality of water that you're getting, especially if you're relying on water fountains and that sort of thing. But in our homes, I just plead with you to make water quality a top priority. Figure out, and you've got to do your own research, because all of us live in different communities, and some are on rural water, and some have well water, and some have city water, and some of our cities, oh my gosh, they pump in so much fluoride and so much chlorine, it's disgusting. Some cities don't. So I recommend very, very strongly that you get your water tested first so that you know what you're dealing with, and then figure out what the best approach is for you to get the highest quality water. For us, we have really fallen in love with the Berkey filter, and that is what we have in our kitchen. I love it because it is extremely economical. It uses charcoal filters, and it uses chlorine filters that takes out the fluoride and the chlorine, and it runs on gravity. So if our power goes out, we still have water. And if our water shuts off, I can walk down the hill to the creek and I can go get water out of the creek. I know that sounds extreme, but we can do it. And I can pour that in my Berkey and it will filter through and I will have drinking water. We have rain barrels on our house. Worst case scenario, I have no problems whatsoever getting water out of my rain barrel and pouring that in my Berkey if I had to. Okay. So here's a funny story. We have two girls that are in college right now. One just graduated, but before they went off to college, they each bought a Berkey, because once you get a taste for good water, you kind of don't want to ever leave it. And so during this quarantine time, everybody came home. We now have 3 Berkeys on our kitchen counter. And so we have a plethora of water to choose from. But I do think that it's very, very important. And when you think about what percentage of our body is made up of water, I'm going off on a whole nother class. We should talk about this next week. But Dr. Emoto is the one who did all of those water studies. And if the water in our cells is bad, just imagine the profound effect it has, because I think that we're made up, I don't remember the exact number, but it's something crazy like 94% of us is water. So it really does matter what kind of water we fill ourselves with, okay? Inflammation is another category that we talk about here. And I think the last, oh no, mental emotional stress. And then we have, and it does get into some emotions. That always kind of freaks people out. They're like, what? I'm hopeless? I'm feeling hopeless. That is a stressor. And friends, I don't care where you are on the spectrum of weirdness, but I have arrived all the way over here where I believe wholeheartedly that our emotions and our thoughts and our beliefs affect our health. And I'm not going to duke it out with you if you don't believe that, but there is so much evidence to support the fact that if you are constantly in a state of stress, it imprints on our very DNA. And if you want to be freaked out more, we pass that to our children. So we got to get our emotional stuff in order, okay? Yes, Carol, emotions are held in different organs of our body. They really are. And that can freak people out when they find out, oh, my liver is not well. And I'm like, are you angry about anything? Because that's where we store anger, is in the liver, okay? And so then we have to start figuring out how to release that. And there are ways to do it. There's great ways to do it. But our oils are super, super helpful, okay? We've done a couple classes, I think, during this time since March on the Feelings collection. Oh, guys, do not underestimate the power of that collection of oils. The Feelings collection is wonderful. Okay. Let's see. I think we're getting close. Sleep is another category here. Talks about what can interrupt our sleep. For this individual, endocrine disruptors was something that was putting stress on their sleep. Oh my goodness, I just enlarged my screen. This is hard to do at an angle. I'm so sorry. I'm sure this is not how the pros do it, friends. Okay, so interestingly enough, here's another case. I remember I told you this individual was hypersensitive to the oils. The first one that came up for the sleep suggestions was Seedlings Calm. Guess what? Also pre-diluted. You know what the second one was? Parafree. You know when parasites go bonkers? At night when you're horizontal, when you're sleeping. It's so gross. But it's true, and knowledge is power, and now that we know this, we can get to work on the core issue. But if we hadn't done this, oh, think of how many medical doctors you can go to when they're just trying to look from the outside. Oh yeah, you have a rash. Here, take this ointment or this whatever. And we need to look from the inside out. So I just find that so fascinating. Okay, here's the last one. Toxic stress is the last category. Top three for this person: endocrine disruptors, water contaminants, and parasites. Crazy. And Neroli, Sleek Essence, Parafree, Digest and Cleanse, and Live Your Passion. Go figure, right? So, and that is the end of that one. Now, I'm not going to do it right now, but I want you to know that you can go up and select a report, and you can customize a report that you share with people. And you guys, it goes into even more crazy in-depth stuff, like a report on your teeth, and a report on your organs, and a report on your Chinese meridians and your spine. Brian, my husband, has actually printed out, he's done a Zyto Scan on himself, printed out the report on his spine, and it goes vertebrae by vertebrae, talking about which ones are under stress, and he's taken that to the chiropractor. Brian is much more left-brained and green and analytical than I am. I'm like, this is so cool, it works, amazing. Brian's like, I want some proof. So he takes this report to the chiropractor and he says, hey, as you are adjusting me and checking my spine this morning, I'm just curious if you would kind of lay this paper over here and just glance at it periodically. And I just want to know if the vertebrae that you're finding that are out of alignment are also what we're seeing on this page. And you guys, it lined up verbatim. It was just unreal. Again, how would we know that? I would never know, and nor could I test it. But it is wild. It is absolutely wild. So I just wanted you guys to know this morning that this is another tool that you have available to you that can be utilized even if you just want to use it for your family. What a gift, okay? But you can also use it to really make an awesome impact on those that you are helping as you share Young Living. I would have never known that this kind of thing ever existed. And I want to share one more story and then I'll wrap this up because I don't want it to get too long. Kathy, I have the Zyto Balance. So it's one step up. The compass is kind of the base level and then it's one step up from that one. So one story that I want to share with you, this happened several years ago, probably about 8 years ago now, with our oldest daughter. We had homeschooled our kids for about 6 years maybe at this point, and our oldest daughter was getting ready to re-enter the public school system, okay? And so this was the weekend before school started in August, and she was 14. So she had just finished homeschooling 8th grade at home. She was getting ready to go back to public school as a freshman. And she loves the outdoors. Okay, so we are at a state park. We're camping for the weekend, and she was perfectly healthy going in, okay? We got there on a Friday night, had a blast, met up some friends, had fun all day Saturday. On Sunday, we're still having fun, but knowing that it was our last day, she came to me and she said, Mom, my throat is really sore. And I said, that's weird. I mean, it's August, right? Who gets sore throats in August? And I said, okay, well, we're going to go home later today. And, you know, basically, this is revealing of what kind of mom I am. I'm like, tough it out. We're having a good time. You'll be fine. And so she went off and played for a little bit more and came back sometime later and said, Mom, seriously, my throat is so sore. I don't feel like I can swallow. I feel like I'm getting a little panicky, like I might not even be able to breathe. And I'm like, okay, this is really odd. You're my healthiest of healthy kids. So I said, open your mouth. And so she opens her mouth and she sticks out her tongue, and the adenoids back there are just like golf balls. Huge, swollen, white. I'm like, what in the world? 12 hours prior, she was totally fine. Picture of health. And so I'm getting a little concerned. I'm like, okay, now I feel like we need to tear down and we need to go straight to the ER. And this was a total shift. So we did leave because she was not okay. And we came home and I called my upline and I said, I don't know what to do here. And we talked about what was going on. She said, bring her over. Let's do a scan. And I'm thinking, I don't even know if I have time because I feel like I do need to get her to the hospital. And she's like, just bring her over real quick. We'll do this. So we did it. And everything that came up was emotional. Everything. Stress, worry, fear, angst, everything. Well, you guys, I, dummy, wasn't connecting the dots. This kid was worried sick about going back to public school after being homeschooled for 7 years. She never said a word. We were camping. She loved the outdoors. I thought this was a great reward, end of summer, family memories. She had literally made herself sick. And so most of the top things that came up was stress away and valor. And so we started pouring that on. I mean, I remember anointing the crown of her head with it. Everywhere we were diffusing it. And within 2 hours, her throat was completely fine. Completely fine. We never went to the doctor. And we talked a lot after I realized what was going on. We verbally discussed the stress and how this was going to look and how we could make it okay. And she was okay. And I was just like, unbelievable, because I guarantee you, if I had taken her to the doctor, they would have removed something. They would have pulled out tonsils or pulled out adenoids or I don't know what, but they would have intervened, and rightfully so. But to think that all of that was caused by fear and worry. And if I had not had this tool, I would have never known. I would have never had a clue. So that was really my first huge aha moment with the scanner. And I'm like, okay, Sonia, I need to get one of those. We need to have this tool at our house. Okay, I see a couple of questions here. There is another tool, and I promised I would talk to you guys about it, the Zyto Scanner. And I wish I knew where mine was. I think it's buried in my closet. It is a small rectangular handheld device that syncs up with your phone. And it provides a scan that is similar, but in my opinion, not near as in-depth. So let me tell you, I'll just share everything here, where I've been on this journey. I started years ago with the Zyto, and I was paying the monthly fee, and then Zyto came out. It was the new shiny object, right? And I jumped. I thought, this is amazing because I can carry the Zyto scanner in my purse, and I don't have to carry a laptop. I've always got my phone. So anytime I run into somebody that wants a scan, by golly, I'm ready. And so sheer convenience brought me to the other side. So I did use the Zyto for a few years. And here's what I will say. It is better than nothing, okay? It is a good tool for what I would consider an entry-level scan. And anytime you want to help somebody see a little bit more of what's going on in their body system, I think it's good. But there is no comparison, in my opinion, to the in-depth, comprehensive information that you can get from the Zyto scanner. I just feel like this goes way deeper. I appreciate the leadership and the support that I get from the Zyto company. I have spent a fair bit of time in conversation with them over the years. They've helped with lots of things. We spent a lot of time in the Zyto booth at convention last year talking to them about implementing it in my business and that sort of thing. I love that we can do remote scans. So for me, right now, it's a good fit. When I was an executive, the Zyto was a lot more budget friendly. So I do not want anybody to think like, oh, I have to have this. No, you don't. You don't. But I just want you to know that it's an option, and it might be a goal worth working towards. Okay. So Diane, I do charge for scans. I think that, honestly, I think it's worth a ton. I don't charge a ton, but I do think it's worth a ton. So the way that I do it is I charge $30 for a scan, and I give a $10 discount if you're on my team and you're on Essential Rewards. So it's basically $20, which is a nominal fee for what you get. I do not charge my children. No. But I think that makes it worthwhile. And then when I go places, or if I do remote scans, I'm very seldom just scanning and sending you on your way. We usually spend a little bit of time talking about the results and talking about putting that into practice. And so a lot of that is just compensating time, because I do tend to spend a fair bit of time with each person. So there have been times when I've done remote scanning parties, and I've been here in front of my computer for 5 hours, and we just go one after the other, which is fine. But it's nice to know that, okay, there's a little bit of a little bit of return on that investment. And I think it's absolutely worth it. So if you talk about people having skin in the game, they're more likely to put those results into practice. If they had to pay a little bit to get them, I think they will value them a little bit more. So Carol, that's a wonderful idea. She offers a free scan to new members signing up, and then $25 for each one after that. I love it. I think that's great. And the cool thing is you can do it however you want. Okay. I know some practitioners that charge about $120 for a scan. And when it's billed, you know, it's part of your treatment plan, and it can probably be turned in for insurance. So, you know, we can do that lots of different ways. I am not a medical professional, and so I'm not going to dance in that arena, but I have no problem doing small charges, and that helps you take care of the monthly obligation. Jen, I know you asked how much it is monthly. I absolutely hate to say the wrong number. If somebody knows, I never look at that bill. Can you believe that? Okay, thank you. Somebody just wrote that. Carol, $50 a month. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that gives you a good goal. If you're paying the monthly fee, then make it your goal to scan at least 3 or 4 people a month, and that takes care of that fee. So Michelle, no, I'm not a naturopath. I'm a natural mom. And so, yeah, okay. iTovi is $43 a month.
Can I add something, Skyla?
Yes, please do.
Just as a matter for anyone that's thinking about getting one, what my sponsor and I did was last year at convention, we bought the Zyto together. We split the cost of it. And so then we bought a inexpensive laptop, and we were passing it back and forth. Well, just this last month, we ended up ordering a second hand cradle, because you can download the software to 2 different computers. So if you buy a second scanner or a second hand cradle, then we can both, and she's going to load it onto her computer, her laptop that she already has. I'll keep the laptop that we bought. And so now we can both have one. We don't have to pass it back and forth. And all you have to do is, instead of just the regular log off, you go into settings and release the license when you're done using it, so that, because you can't both be logged onto it at the same time, but it's a good way of splitting the cost of it.
Oh, Carol, thank you so much for sharing that. That is a wonderful tip. And I will add to that many people, for whatever reason, you know, they come and go out of Young Living. Many people have these hand cradles sitting around that they are not using. And you can purchase them used for a very small fee. So when I got hooked back up with Zyto this last time, I just asked around with fellow leaders and said, does anybody on your team have one that they would like to get rid of? Because I'm happy to compensate them. And so I bought a hand cradle for $75. You can buy them on Zyto's website, I believe, for around $200 or $225. And so you're doing someone a favor if this is just taking up space in their closet, and they work just the same. So thank you, Carol. I really appreciate that idea. So get together with your team and find out if anybody wants to collaborate on that. I think that's awesome. All right, my friends, I'm going to wrap this up and end our recording. Thank you.